Hello, friends. It's time for Talk for Dodge, the show that uncovers the stories behind the houses in the heart of our community. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin. Today we are here with Craig Schlienz, who is a multiple of things. He does lots. But before we talk to Craig, let's do some statistics, some stats today.
Yeah, the little market update. We're at the beginning of 2025. I almost said 2024. Don't even know what year it is.
That year went so fast. Boom.
So it's not really even fun to talk about side-by-side stats. So I looked up some home buying statistics of 2024, and 59% of all home buyers in 2024 were married couples. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Sense. Yeah.
14% of home buyers purchased a multi-generational home. 87% of buyers purchased a previous owned home. So talk about new construction.
Sure, 13% were new construction.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And new construction, I don't know how they all put this in here, but it was 1.52 million private housing construction rose to an annual rate of 1.52 million.
Units.
Yeah, units. Wow.
60% of buyers cited the quality of neighborhood as the most important factor in determining what they wanted to buy.
That's cool.
My friends just moved in Des Moines, and that was a big impact on what school that their young ones are going to go to.
I like the multi-generational statistic too, that 14%, because we do have some that, grandma's going to live with us. We need the mother-in-law suite, or we need the, space for our kids, or, it's
back in the day that was huge. We haven't seen it a lot in the last 10 years, but I know it's huge in other countries.
Well, it's other countries. It's getting bigger here because people can't afford to buy houses. And, if you can combine several generations and have, mom and dad, grandpa and grandma all in the same place. That's it's a cool stat.
It's becoming big again.
And the other one was new construction. And even here, they're starting to push some new construction stuff. I know the Growth Alliance has some stuff coming up for developers. And shameless plug, there's a really nice new build in Badger that somebody should buy here sooner than later.
For sure. Absolutely.
And Craig knows who much. And Denclaw Construction's doing a great job on that. I got to go out there, check it out. I've been out there for a couple of weeks, but they're painting this week, so they're getting close.
It's always nice, especially when you get a local contractor or someone like that who kind of puts a spec home out there and tries to help spur some additional development. But yeah, it's obviously by the housing study you just referenced with the Growth Alliance, there's definitely been a need identified. Hasn't been done for over 10 years in Fort Dodge where that study's been done, but I think that's going to bear some fruit and a lot of good things coming up. Excited to talk to some new developers and stuff.
I agree. We're going. I still have to email saying we're going, but we'll see you there.
Nice.
Craig and I'll add to the amount of hair in the room.
Yeah.
So, Craig, let's kind of get into some questions. Tell us about yourself. So let's start with kind of what you do, where you work, and kind of all the different things you're associated with.
Sure, absolutely. So, kind of breaking news here. This says I'm a senior loan officer at Availa Bank, but actually this week we just announced that I am going to be the new market president in Fort Dodge.
Nice.
So
we're telling the world right now?
We're kind of telling the world right now, yeah. I mean, it's out there a little bit, but I guess officially, since you guys are asking, official. Dave's announced his retirement.
Yep.
And so we're starting to work kind of through a transition plan at the bank. And so that was official this past Monday, so I guess I'm the current market president here in Fort Dodge of Availa Bank. So how I got there, I've been with Availa Bank now for a little over 3 years. I moved over there in August of 2021. Worked for a couple different banks here in Fort Dodge. Moved back here in 2003 with my wife, Jamie. We came back from the Des Moines area and took a job at First Federal Savings Bank here downtown. Knew a lot of the folks that were running the bank, Dave Bradley, Tom Chalstrom, Kirk Young.
Yeah.
Knew all those guys fairly well. Had a great opportunity to come back there and then worked through there. Bank was purchased by another bank. Some responsibilities changed. Had an opportunity, went to work for First American Bank. Kind of a similar position there where I worked kind of in the back office operations, compliance, a lot of those areas. Wonderful, great opportunities I had at both banks to kind of see a little bit of all aspects of the banking world. And so that really gave me
a little more diverse.
Yeah, gave me a great background to see kind of how things work, both on the front side of things, dealing directly with customers, but also on the back side of things when it comes to, loan processing, compliance, regulatory issues, kind of the whole gamut. And so that kind of prepared me then when this opportunity came up with Availa Bank. I was approached by the bank, had a position open for a loan officer, sat down and met with Matt Wagner and then eventually Dave Flattery and the group over there. And it just seemed like the right fit for me. Made the move, and so my focus now is commercial lending, a little bit of ag lending, but kind of handle that commercial business banking relationship aspect. And so now transitioning into the market president role, just my responsibilities would grow a little bit more. Have a few more people that directly report to me, I guess, so there's more responsibility. But just excited about trying to continue on the great tradition of community banking that Availa Bank has established here in Fort Dodge over the last 23, 24 years since they built that new building here in Fort Dodge. So,
awesome.
Yeah, very excited about it.
You never got to work out of the trailer then, so.
I did not. No, I've seen pictures. You
had somebody on that talked about working out of the trailer when it was brand new.
Yeah, no, they've got a really great scrapbook from back in the day when, Dave and then, Karen's been there from the start. And it's really incredible that a lot of the employees that have been at Availa Bank here recently started originally when they started CS Bank with Dave.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of uncommon to hear of people that are at the same job, same place for 20 plus years,
Yep.
So pretty incredible. Good people over there. Really
That's
enjoy
awesome.
them.
Great.
Yeah.
So what else are you involved in?
The list is pretty long. I serve on quite a few boards in town. I'm involved in service clubs. So I'm a member of the Fort Dodge Noon Kiwanis Club. That's probably one of my longest running engagements I've been with. Way back in the day when I was at First Federal and kind of first came back to town, Jerry Patterson called or probably stopped in one day and said, "Hey, Craig, I think you ought to come check out the Kiwanis Club." And so I said, "Sure, why not?" I didn't know any better. So my dad was actually a Kiwanian back in the day, and so I remembered
A Kiwanian.
That's the official terminology for the Kiwanis Club. There's Kiwanian.
And I've been to the meetings. If you don't mention the Kiwanis Club in the meeting, you get a $1 fine or something, don't you?
I don't think so.
Oh,
you might be thinking of a different
I might have been.
lower
Which one's
tier
Minky's in?
service club like Sertoma or Rotary.
Maybe Sertoma.
But
Noon Rotary's okay.
I mean, that's official. Like Kiwanian is right. Like you call your people Rotarians or Sertomans, like Kiwanian. That's right.
Kiwanian.
I like it.
So where were we going with this whole thing? Yeah.
What else you're in?
Jerry
So
recruited
Kiwanis?
me, and my dad in the past was in Kiwanis, and so I remember going to like the pancake breakfasts and doing the sand pile delivery projects. Two things that we still do as a club today, which is pretty cool. It's a 100-plus-year-old service club in Fort Dodge, so kind of cool to be part of that legacy. And a good group of people over there with Linda Klein and just so many different people. Daryl Beal, Gary Astor. I could go on, but a good group of folks over there.
Yep.
A lot of Kiwanians, you betcha. So that's probably my first volunteer service club opportunity there. And then just kind of over the years, it's kind of grown. I'm on the Fort Dodge Community Recreation Center board. I've served on Holy Trinity Parish's parish council. I'm on the Development Foundation board over there. You guys had Susan Lofferswell in here recently talking about development. And so I serve on Susan's board over there at the high school. I'm on the finance committee for our church and school. I'm the president of the Booster Club at the school. I mean, there's a lot of things, but
Fun.
It's all fun, and I really enjoy giving time back and trying to make an impact on our community that way. So
What got you so involved, motivated you to get so involved in the community?
Initially, I don't think I really had much motivation other than it sounded like something that would be fun to do, you know. So again, Kiwanis Club goes back to there was kind of like a legacy in my family where my dad was a member of the club. And so I thought, something that I could probably get involved with and give some of my time and make a little bit of a difference that way. Being a young person, I didn't really have a whole lot of money to just say, here, I can write checks to places and, make donations. So it's like, I've got some time to give. And I might have a little bit of talent, here or there. I could help with. I can flip pancakes, or I can push a wheelbarrow or shovel some sand and help out
at the
with that
spaghetti
way. So
dinner, you're helping out in the kitchen.
spaghetti dinner, I can sling a mean meatball. We got a lot of sauce everywhere. That's a good plug there. It's a great dinner. If you've never been there, you should.
It is
there.
a good dinner.
It is a good dinner. I've been there for a lot of years.
70-some-year-old recipe and tradition there with Holy Trinity Parish, and that comes from the south side, Holy Rosary, like the Italian folks over there. So, yeah, that's good stuff. Good plug there.
And those ladies know what they're doing, and
they've done it a long
They got
time.
a system down, and
Get out of their way.
There's no change in their system. It's pretty good.
That's
hilarious.
true. You don't change. You don't change it.
Don't even try.
So anyway, yeah, just being involved in the community for me, I feel like, we have a responsibility to give back to the communities that we live in and work in. It makes our community a better place. And, quite frankly, without people such as yourselves getting involved and being on boards and doing other projects, a lot of things wouldn't get done.
You're right.
I can think of, let's talk about the Veterans Bridge project that just got.
Oh, that's so cool.
Process. I mean, drive over that bridge now at night and see all those medallions up there and the flags lit up, and drive across at Albert Hab Memorial Bridge. It's so cool.
And our office is right there, so every time I walk out, I get the chills just a little bit, just seeing the flags hanging up there in the branches. And thank God Army's first,
Well,
as an Army
depending on which way you're driving, right?
It's always first.
But it all started with one voice and one committee. And
so many things in our communities happen because of that. You got to have somebody who's got a vision and then is driven to go out and make it happen somehow. And it's never one person alone that gets something like that done either. It takes a big committee of people. So that's the most fun I think I have is getting involved in projects, is seeing multiple people come together and putting their talents on the table, and then you work your way towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish and hitting that goal, and then that's the real payoff. Then is like, man, look what we did together.
Yeah.
And so
and that's not done. They're still going to put the lights on it, and they have a little pavilion, and so the bridge is it's so cool.
Yeah,
I love being involved in that one. It's
one great example, and it's very visible. It's really cool, like to see it come from an idea to where you have drawings and some things in the paper to see it become reality. That's really cool.
Yep. So the next year should be pretty cool, getting the LED lights on it and light it up red, white, and blue every night.
Absolutely.
So that leads us to one of Fort Dodge's biggest events every year, is Shellabration. Tell us a little bit about
that's kind of how you lured me here to join Talk
we
Fort
lured
Dodge
you
today.
here because I called Jim Reed, and he said, I would love to. And for the first time ever, Jim Reed didn't want to take the microphone, which was kind of surprising to me. He said, call Craig.
I actually wouldn't say it's the first time, because he's done this to me a number of times, actually. And he actually did not cop to that when I told him. I said, hey, Jim, I'm going to be doing this podcast. Is there anything you want to share with me or information you want to make sure I talk to these guys about? And he did call me this afternoon, but he never said, hey, by the way, I gave them your name to go talk to.
We did have you on the list anyway, just FYI.
You were on the list. We're just like, it's a good time of year, because I know you're in the planning stage, but you're not in that rush at the end. So,
but anytime we talk about Shellabration, you have to talk about Jim Reed, because he's put his heart and soul into this event for the last 23, 24 plus years. Since they kicked it off, and he lives and breathes it. It's truly remarkable. Like, I was just talking to Karen back at the office, who's also on our board for Shellabration, and she just talked about a conversation she had with Jim the other day at the local drugstore here, and she's like, he never turns it off. He's always thinking about what can we do with Shellabration, what can we do differently, what's the next thing we're going to do. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Just an example of the first year it was out there at Harlan. You drive out there and it took a while. The traffic was crazy. But the next year, it was that was taken care of.
Yeah.
And I don't know what exactly was done, but I think
you
they
see
used
an issue
more of the
and,
airport and whatever.
The great thing about small business is you can adjust fast, and you guys do a really good job of keeping track of which tickets are sponsored tickets and which ones are sold tickets, and putting all that extra work into the aftermath.
Right.
The after action review is what they called it in the Army. And then saying, how can we fix it? How can we make it better? And it was great. Having the camper spots out there is one of my favorites, because we'll take the RV out and then I don't have to drive home.
Yeah, there's so many of those just little details that the general public, may or may not notice. So I'm really happy that you brought that up, and that you noticed that, okay, year one, maybe we didn't think about something, and the ingress and egress wasn't maybe as good as it could have been. But I mean, you look at that and you're like, well, wow, there's only really one way in and one way out of there.
Yeah.
And so after the shows, we always talk about, how long did it take to get the last car that left the parking lot out of the venue? And then, it's always announced kind of over our walkie-talkies, hey, the last car's out and we're done with parking and everything. But really now you have a couple parking lots, and you might have two lanes, and one goes north and one goes south. And we have traffic control out there with our state patrol and our friends from law enforcement that help us out with traffic control. And then we might send some out, north and go towards the orchard and take kind of the back road back into town.
Yeah.
Or we might send some south. And so it really helps the flow of traffic. But those are just the little details that.
Yeah, and it's like if everybody keeps moving, you're going to get home faster, even if you go around that big block.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
It's
right.
like get the wheels turning and get
As long
out
as there's
of here.
no bridges out or detours or different things like that, which are out of our control, but for the most part, it's worked very well. And, there's just so many things you have to plan for from a contingency standpoint. Like if we're having a concert out at Harlan Rogers and we're expecting 8,000 people out there, like we know pretty much to the parking spot how many spots we have to fill, whether it be in the airport parking lot or whether it be in Harlan Rogers, mini majors. We have some grassy areas. Well, if we get a major rain event a couple days before that happens, that's going to take away X number of parking spots. So it's like, what's our contingency plan then? Are we going to park them down the road and then have shuttles bring them out to the field, or how are we going to make that happen? So
I've always thought about that when I walk to the Iowa State games and they have the
grass fields.
The grass fields, and all of a sudden I walk past those grass fields right after it rained and they closed them down. I'm like, those things are full every Saturday. Like, where in the world did they move all of those cars?
Yeah, everybody's walking a little further that day.
Yeah.
absolutely. So
So have you been involved from the beginning?
I have not. No. So
How did you get involved?
gosh, I don't even know when so Shellabration's been 23 plus years. So we're talking 2001 or so. So before I came back to Fort Dodge, they were having a couple of these first initial concert events. So probably I think I saw an email or something from someone when I was at First Federal that said, hey, we need some help with ushering and post-show cleanup. And so it certainly wasn't the most glamorous job in the world, but I figured, hey, I'm young. We don't have any kids. There's no reason why I can't go out there and help. And so if they're asking for help, I just felt like I was called to help. And so I signed myself up, went out there, kind of roamed around the concert event for the night. And then afterwards, all these people left and there's just cans everywhere. And so like, here's a garbage bag, start picking up cans. And so I just pretty much help pick up cans, and that happens every year, right? I mean, when we get done with the concert, people disperse fairly quickly, and you're left with
A mess.
all the leftover stuff, right? And so that was my initial volunteering with Shellabration, and then I can't exactly tell you how it all went. I think
that's a good story though, because anything that you do, you start from the bottom. Like like if you get into the restaurant business, you start doing dishes, and then you get to host, and then you wait, and
It's like I started in the mailroom and now I'm the president, Same thing.
You work your way up, and then pretty soon you get to drive Jim Reed around in a golf cart at night. It's pretty fun.
and you're still picking up cans.
Still picking up cans, still picking up trash. That never goes away, that's for sure.
Correct.
But, I think sometime after that, though, I think my dad helped maybe with stage setup one year and probably told me something about it. And then I got a call. I think he might have taken me out to help one year. And so I went out and helped him set up and build the stage. And Craig Barber, too, would have called me and said, hey, you want to come out and help build this stage? It's really fun. It's like a big erector set, come out here and help us build the stage. And so I did that. And then when I got on the board, it was actually Craig Barber who called me and said, hey, we need a new board member. I'm going off the board, and we want somebody to fill that spot.
So he's just trying to distract the competition.
Pretty much. He's like, you stay busy over here while I go do my thing over here. Yeah. So no, it's kind of funny how things all come together. But when I was in high school, Craig Barber actually lived next door to me. Obviously, when I came back to Fort Dodge, we reconnected, and he kind of recruited me to come into that role. And so he's somebody I've always looked up to as far as being involved in the community, really.
Me too.
He does do a
he
lot
really
of
does.
Done so many things. And so even though he spells his name wrong,
He does.
Craig with a C,
Yeah.
Craig with a K. But anyway, we joke about that too. He's still great. I mean, Craig still reaches out to me before all of our Shellabration events, and he's like, hey, what's the schedule? What time are you guys setting up? And he literally always stops down, and he's like, what can I do to help? If I'm available, I'd love to do this or that. And so a lot of times I just, if we need something down there, I'll say, hey, can you go grab this or that for us? And he's always more than willing to help us out. So it's really great. As a past board member of Shellabration, he still is very involved and comes down to check things out and kind of stay with us. So it's
that's
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
And I know this is hard to do on the spot, but is there a most memorable?
Memorable.
It's a hard word to say.
It is.
Memorable.
Memorable thing for Shellabration?
It's it's really tough to think of really just one. I mean, I can think of some things that stand out. I mean, obviously for me, the first concert I was involved with the board was Leonard Skinner. And so I was pretty wide-eyed when we went back and got to take pictures and do the meet and greet stuff with Leonard Skinner. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So that was our first year with Leonard Skinner. And then I think the following year was Boston, and we just had explosive ticket sales. It was like the biggest show that we'd ever had. And so there's a humongous crowd out there for Boston. That was a lot of fun. Steve Miller Band, I think it was the bass player, fell off the stage.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the concert and had some injuries there. Just kind of went right over the front of the stage there at the end of the show. So
Did Bret Michaels bring his bus from the TV show?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
He brought the jet.
Yeah, but so many good shows out there that we've had some good memories.
What was your thought when Bret Michaels said, I'll see you guys next year?
Like 3 times.
Yeah. I was like, he probably says that every show. You know?
I'm sure he does.
Kind of just trying to plant the seeds. But Sammy Hagar, I thought that was fantastic because he number one, he did a great show. And we got to meet Sammy in the back. And but afterwards, he's literally had his jet across the street at the airport. And like probably 20 minutes after the show, we're picking up beer cans, you know, and here goes this jet flying over. And it was his last show, so I think he was heading back to like Cabo or something like that, you know. So,
that's where I'd go.
Yeah, pretty cool deal. But I mean, it amazes me, these artists, you know, when we're talking the classic rock genre that we try to do for Shellabration, these guys are getting into their 70s. Some of them are pushing 80. And the quality of their voices and the sound is just incredible. Steve Miller Band came out. I couldn't believe it. It just sounded just like Steve Miller Band's greatest hits was a CD I got when I was little. I just used to run that thing like on repeat. And so when you hear all those songs live and it sounds just like the album, you're like, man, that's pretty good. In the days now of auto-tune and all these things you hear on the radio anymore, to hear somebody just go out there and play and sing like that is pretty good.
Without any help.
Yeah. Huey Lewis, I thought he was fantastic. And, you know, we were one of his probably last live shows before he lost his hearing, and he can't tour anymore.
Oh, no.
You know, he had this issue with his hearing, so we were fortunate to have him kind of one of his last tours there. So
Well, I love 90s country, and all my people are getting really old.
Oh, yeah.
I went and saw Brooks and Dunn. I'm like, oh, boy. You know, they did great, concert. By the way. They were great. It's like, wow, they're
seeing George Strait
older.
Jack Trice was kind of the same way. Like, dude's just
kept
still a good-looking 90-year-old man.
Yeah, introducing his new music.
Is he that old?
No, he's in his 80s, I think.
80s? Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a great concert. So Shellabration's been at the Bench Shell, it's been at Herlin Rogers, and this year headed downtown.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the different venues and how the challenges change and good, bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors that go into scheduling a show like this and getting it to happen. So, you know, unless you have really deep pockets and an unlimited bank account, you're kind of at the mercy of the artists that you're trying to book for these shows. And so with Shellabration, we cast kind of a wide net, and we usually are looking for an artist anytime between like first weekend in June to somewhere in that first week or so of August. In that summer touring time frame. And so we kind of leave it wide open. We're looking for a Friday or a Saturday. You know, we try to avoid the major holidays like the 4th of July because that's just kind of a disaster usually if you try to book around that. And so it really then comes down to like, where else are they going to be touring at? Are they going to be up in Minnesota or Wisconsin or out in Sturgis in South Dakota or somewhere close by where we can find a routable date either just before or just after another concert date in another venue in another town close by, whether it's South Bend, Indiana, or, you know, something within like a 6 to 10 hour drive away.
Skip and a hop away.
Yeah. So you can do a show, get on the bus, load the trailers up, and then drive to the next venue and make it a nice 1-2 punch or something like that. That's kind of, you have to have a little luck involved there too, because, you know, typically we're not paying at the high end of the range of what they're going to get for their shows, but we're going to try to play up in that area where we can get it where it still makes sense for us financially, that we feel like we can get enough sponsorship, sell enough tickets, have good in-venue product sales with beverages and food and stuff to make it all work. Because, I mean, after you pay the artists, there's a lot more expenses
Oh,
involved
yeah.
than just
the stage,
that, right?
the production.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking stage, sound, lighting, tents, porta pots, other security structures
Do you
within
have
the
to pay
venue.
the city for extra security?
Yeah,
I've always-
yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we have maybe 12 to 16 uniformed officers, and so we certainly pay them for their time to be down there. Other infrastructure things that the city brings out for us. I mean, all the garbage cans that we use are all the old 55-gallon drums. They deliver those, drop them in our venue. We disperse them throughout the venue. So that's all work that the city does for us. So yeah, we definitely pay for those services. And then of course you have your tent rentals, because we pop up tents for our VIP areas, for our beverage stations and food and just concession type areas.
Yeah.
So all those
And even the
things,
ticket booth has a little tent over it.
yeah, every little thing that we do. And so, we have two storage units we keep all year round that just has stuff in them, like whatever it might be. It might be the pop-up tents that we use, but just wristband IDs and just all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of stuff. And
So putting it downtown this last year,
Yeah.
what was the reasoning? I thought a Girl State was going on at
correct.
the same time.
You're exactly right. So Girls State was definitely that week. And so we have to avoid the time frame around that. So like pretty much the weekend ahead of Girls State, we can't be out there just because they're doing logistical things and setting up stuff, getting ready for Girls State. And so we kind of avoid that, but it happened right in that time frame where that was the Friday night of Girls State. So that's the finals, right? So couldn't be out there. And the year before, we had Collective Soul at the band shell.
Yep.
And so just being back at the band shell after being at Harlan Rogers for a number of years, as a board, there was discussion after the event, and it was just decided that, if we have a choice, we would rather not go back to the band shell, just because of logistically, there's only one road in and one road out to get to the stage area, right?
Yes.
So when you're talking, semis for production and buses for artists and all these things getting in and out of there, and then of
The
course,
artist isn't going to get to Cabo as fast.
yeah, exactly,
Unless you
yeah,
drop a
Well, in
helicopter
downtown,
off
you
of
actually
the
had
floor.
experience with Downtown Country Jam.
correct.
You've been down there, you understand how to set it up. The area works really well. You know how to block everything off.
People did get out of there pretty quick. From what
and
I
downtown, there's a
remember.
lot of parking downtown, whether people think
There's
so or
way
not.
more than you think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can go any direction. You know what I mean? So you can really park anywhere. There's lots of city lots,
Lots of roads in and
side
out.
streets,
Yeah.
lots of other local watering holes. You can
Yeah, I appreciate
just
that.
kind of meander
I like
over
it downtown.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure. And so obviously all we had to really do was kind of adapt our VIP area and figure out.
And that worked really well too.
Yeah, I didn't really make it over there this year. I usually go over and do a little bit of quality control in the beverages to make sure that they're at the right temperature in the VIP
You
tent.
have to test.
But somebody's got to do the
Quality
the hard
control.
work. But anyway, yeah, Jim obviously he spends hours down there like scoping things out. From the first Downtown Country Jam, I've told this story before, but we used to go to Sunday night mass at Corpus Christi when it was still open as our church. And 7:30 p.m. go to mass. I drove downtown, and it's like 8:30 at night on a Sunday, and here's Jim Reed just kind of looking around the buildings and scoping things out, making these mental notes of where he's going to put this, where he's going to put that, and so same thing as we're taking Shellabration. Jim, Ted Bodensteiner, they're down there checking things out and saying, well, I think this might work. I think this might work. And then having to go down there with our vendor partners with Light Party Productions, can we fit a 20 by 20 or 40 by 40 or whatever size tent it is in this green space, and will it work? And Jim said yes. I think somebody else said no. Well, Jim was right.
Jim was right.
Jim was right.
Jim spent a lot of hours checking that out.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, so that's pretty much that went into it. It was really artist availability, date. That was when we could get the artist in town, and quite frankly, it was almost a minor miracle that show happened, because we had made offers to multiple artists over a number of months, and just nothing came up. And then Jim he was going back through emails and saw this one that he sent out an inquiry to the management group for Rick Springfield and said, hey, I don't think you ever responded to us. Is this a viable option for Rick Springfield to come to Fort Dodge? And they got back to us and said, hey, sorry about that. We missed it. But yes, we've got this date open. and coming out of here. So it came together in a matter of days.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, we were literally like about ready to say, you know what, we're not able to have a show this year. So
Have you already booked this year?
we have not booked this year. Nope.
You got it down to 2 or 3 like you normally do? And I know you can't tell us, but
Well, I mean, same thing as we always do. We float several offers out at a time, and we kind of have a really short list of artists that we really think that still fit that classic rock model that we try to stick with. Obviously, we've kind of ventured a little bit away from that with Collective Soul. They're kind of more of a 90s alternative rock type group. And then Rick Springfield, I wouldn't know if I would consider him classic rock necessarily, but more late 70s, early 80s.
Well, you almost have to put a time frame on it, so you have to go back 30 years or older.
Yeah.
I think we should get the Eagles.
I really hate those things that are coming out now, those memes that say, hey, you know, like 1954 was just as many years away from 1990 as 2024. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, that makes you feel really old. But
I am so bad with music. I don't even know genres. Like what you're talking about.
yeah.
I can't even pick a song that, you know, I can pick the artist because they were here, you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you've talked about, Leonard Skinner. But I
So just think, you know, classic rock. So, you know, Jim Reed high school era when he grew up and he talks about driving around, shagging the drag, listening to these songs.
Well, I did that in the 90s, so
Okay.
I would have got the 90s music. So
There
I
you go.
graduated in
So-
98. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So these fit right into my classic rock when you talk about Rick Springfield. And
So yeah, I mean, same process we've always done. We've dangled some offers out there. Nothing's been confirmed yet for Shellabration show. The truth of the matter is that, you know, as these artists are getting older and the ones that are on our short list, we talked about, you know, people are in their mid to late 70s now, and so they're getting older. They're touring less, so they're taking less dates. They're being more picky about where they're going, and they're commanding more money. And so that's kind of a tough.
don't have to work.
Yeah.
Make me.
I'm
make
retired.
Me
Yeah.
want to work.
Correct. So, you know, we've still got, you know, ideas of having a group like a Hart or a Bryan Adams or a Billy Idol or, you know, George Thorogood, people like
Billy
that.
Idol.
are
And I
still-
really do. And you're speaking to what I was saying earlier, and now you're moving into the 90s because now that 90s is classic rock. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what my kids would consider it classic rock.
Yeah, but you know, we've experimented a little bit here with those, and you know, the ticket sales haven't quite been as good as what those older artists have been. And so we have a certain demographic that's kind of been our sweet spot for Shellabration, and that's been really good to us. And so I don't know. There's just a number of factors that kind of play into things and how successful a show will be. So we're really being very strategic right now about the offers we make and the artists we go after, because we've got to make sure that it is it's a winner from a financial standpoint for us, because we are a nonprofit. We don't exist to make money, but at the end of the day, you have to have the money to be able to put shows like this together.
When you have to have a little nest egg because they're going to want a deposit. They're going to want, you know.
Yeah. And we want to make sure that we can continue to offer shows and get things moving into the future here. So, but that being said too, we as a board, I think I'm probably the youngest board member of our group, and I'm 47.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore either. So we do a lot of manual labor when it comes to these shows. You know, Ted does a lot of the logistics, and as far as, you know, putting the lights in the tents and making sure we have lights in our porta pots and different things that a lot of venues you go to, you won't see. Like if you go into a porta pot, you know, it's going to be pitch black. Well, we put little lights on ours so you can kind of have some idea of what you're doing and whatever, you know what I mean? So little touches like that, people I literally have said, man, that's a great thing. I'm glad you guys do that. And they remember that and they want to come back to our shows because they have a good experience.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's all part of the experience too. Having then the VIP, you got the king and queen, whatever it's called.
Right, Royal Flush.
Yeah, the Royal Flush thing. That's really nice too.
And just having enough beverage tents so that you're not waiting an hour in line to get a beverage, and it's going to be cold. And we try to keep our prices somewhat reasonable so that people can still come enjoy themselves and not feel like they're paying a fortune to just come to our concert events. You know, ticket prices we try to keep affordable. A lot of that has to do with our sponsors. We have great sponsorship that supports our shows and our events. So we're very fortunate and blessed that we do have great support from our community. We do have an artist confirmed for Downtown Country Jam. I'm not at liberty to disclose that to you yet legally, but we do have a date. And so this might throw you off a bit because it's going to be in August this year instead of September.
Okay.
So August 9th, 2025 is the date for Downtown Country Jam. So everybody needs to put a placeholder in their calendar. This will be the biggest country artist we've ever had for Downtown Country Jam.
Did he sing in the 90s?
Can't tell you that. I'm not going to give you any little hints whatsoever. But
we've signed DNRs before, so I wouldn't.
Well, that sounds exciting. From what you said, it sounds super exciting.
Yeah, we're stoked, and we couldn't be more excited. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there that there will be a big announcement coming soon for Downtown Country Jam.
I'm excited.
Yep.
Okay.
I think some of those country artists are easier to book than some of the
Sometimes, yeah. And again, sometimes you just never know. Timing of it is a lot. I think this time frame that we're looking at here may help us a little bit too with downtown. We've had very successful events down there. I mean, we love doing it, love the venue. But again, like I think last year we ran into one of our homecomings for one of the schools. And so you have people that are like, okay, I got to do pictures, I got to do that. My daughter actually came down to get her picture taken with Joe Nichols after homecoming last year.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So that was one thing. And there's always, just conflicts. You might have an Iowa State game, might have an Iowa game or different things, but it's hard. People are so busy anymore with whether you're doing traveling basketball, softball, dance, gymnastics,
And is that a Saturday?
Everything. Fantastic.
Saturday night, Country Jam, downtown, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
That's
you
right.
got it.
Another great building in our community is the Rec here in Fort Dodge, and I know that because I go there 4 or 5 times a week to get my workout. Is there anything that you could tell us about the Rec that we all need to know or the community needs to know?
Well, you said great building. I might disagree with you a little bit there.
Great location.
Great location. Great classes. Great fitness. Great offerings. Everything is great.
Great people.
Everything that happens at the Rec is great. The building itself is not great. So it's our Fort Dodge Community Rec Center is a former YMCA, and some things over the years have been added on, kind of retrofit. It's an old building. We have Sheffield tile floors on the second level, which is not great. They've been reinforced and things. So we've had to do some Band-Aid type projects to patch things up and just get them. So we keep the place operational and keep it going. So, I mean, one of our short-term goals, which it has been for the last 17, 18 years, has been to build a new rec center in Fort Dodge. I mean, it really has been a goal of ours. There is a new sports pavilion that's currently being built and finished over at the Crossroads Plaza Center there where the old Crossroads Mall was. Kind of a different type facility there, okay? So that's a private developer that's opening that facility. That'll be more geared towards kind of travel sports type things. So call it AAU basketball, volleyball. There will be some pickleball courts in there that are open to the public to be able to be used. But it's not really a rec center as you and I would look at a rec center where there's just swimming, kids dropping
There's
in.
a pool,
you're doing rec basketball leagues or rec volleyball leagues. That could happen at the pavilion, no question about it. But we offer the fitness classes. We have the saunas and the steam rooms, and kind of a little bit more, the shower rooms, locker rooms, all those things that go into it. We offer a lot of different fitness classes, hot yogas, spin cycles, all those things. So traditional rec centers. So we've really had a goal for 15 to 17 years to build a new rec center. We've had different locations, we've had different drawings, different renderings. Just nothing's ever really got to the point where we've been able to start getting out there and kind of doing the fundraising part of it. So actually right now we do have a grant in for a community change grant that was submitted back in November, I want to say. So the Fort Dodge Rec partnered with the city of Fort Dodge, and there were some funds that were available out there for grants that we could apply for. And so we applied for a grant for up to $20 million to go towards the building of a new rec center. And so we did do some work on that and put a proposal in there. Just still waiting to hear from it. Our understanding is it's a very competitive grant process, and there was over 2,000 some applications that were submitted for like $40 billion in funding.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. And if they're all asking for 20 million, that's a
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot out there. So, I mean, our fingers are crossed. If it happens, it would be a wonderful shot in the arm for us, and we'd start working right away on probably going out and trying to raise some additional capital, as well as seeing how else we could partner with other, entities or city, county type stuff to get the financing all put together to put it.
How much would a new rec center cost? Have you got current numbers?
Well, it all depends on what you want for amenities. We've looked at, prior to this grant process, we were looking at a 50,000 square foot facility for about 20 million.
Okay.
We expanded this one a little bit, put a few more things into it, and with some other factors that had to be put in with the grant process, it was pushing more like 27, 28 million.
Okay. It's a whole lot easier to raise that money if you say, here's 20 million of it.
Right.
We need 9 more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you can go to people and say, hey, we're here. This is what it's going to look like. This is where it's going to be. We've already acquired the property.
Yep.
We're not trying to hide anything about it, and we really want to get this done. We'll name a room after you. We'll name the whole thing after you for the right number.
For the right number.
The rec center, I really feel like an indoor recreation facility like this for the community, right? Where it's, membership driven really, but something that's for the community. It's really one of the missing pieces that we have as far as a quality of life initiative in Fort Dodge.
I agree.
We've got great outdoor trail systems. We've got a great aquatic center. We've got brand new pickleball courts outdoor to be used. We got all these different things for outdoor recreation. We live in Iowa. You can only be outdoors recreating for
9 months out of the year if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah. I mean, I don't want to forget to mention, we've got the Badger Lakes and the golf courses and all those great things that like Matt Cosgrove and his group with
the Matt Cosgrove Center.
I mean, yeah, fantastic. Really great place. What a great place. And going to get even better with outdoor playscapes and all those things. But again, you can only do the outdoor stuff certain times of the year. So recreation being such an important part of quality of life, I feel like this is really something that I think our community needs to get behind.
I do too.
We're talking about community development and bringing, new businesses and new employers to town, and then for them to try to recruit the employees they need to fill our workforce. A nice, good, high quality rec center is, I think, a very important talking point or a feature to have. When we do tours of Fort Dodge right now through the Growth Alliance with our community concierge program or whatever it is that we kind of recruit these people and bring them through and show them all the high points of Fort Dodge.
Yeah.
We're not driving them by the Fort Dodge Community Rec Center and say, hey, look at our brand new shining rec center here. So
with the picture of the concrete people boxing.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's a cool
that's the
part.
best part of the building.
I know it is. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
isn't that an artist that did that? That's actually fairly famous now. That
I wish I could tell you.
They told a story about it.
There's a couple sports that is there like one or two that I don't even know what it is on there.
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was built in the '60s, so
honestly, I the few times I spend in that room up there, my back's turned to the wall.
Yeah.
Doing cardio, focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing exercise wise. But no, that's to me, it is a landmark in Fort Dodge, like that stone carving. I think whatever, if we get this new rec center done at some point in time, and whatever happens with that building, that piece is going to be a focal point, and it's either going to be rescued or something, repurposed by someone to put somewhere.
We've pulled into and integrated into the new rec center.
Something
put it, put it out front or put it somewhere so it can be part of it. To say,
it's a
even with the stripe where the windows go.
I think it's a great piece of Fort Dodge history there. So
it really is, cool. And everybody sees it. They talk about it. They know it's there. So
no, I mean, location wise, it's a great corner. Where we're at today is a great corner. Just the building is aged. It's 65 plus years old, probably at least. Really chopped up when you get into like the back hallways and stuff.
It's been added onto so many times.
I remember as a kid kind of walking through there, and you get through the men's locker room and back in the hallways where you're back by the racquetball courts, and you're like, man, this is like.
And then
cool.
It's like weird because you go up the stairs. Yeah.
So
in the back way.
Different place, but we've looked at that location too as could we expand there? Could we renovate that existing building? And
You'd have to put a parking structure in
only-
because the other issue is parking.
Yeah.
Only if you go up.
yeah, we're so landlocked. I mean, we did talk to some different businesses around there to see if there was any, interest in acquiring some different property and land and maybe moving them somewhere else in town. And there wasn't a whole lot of that interest there. But yeah, there's a very, very limited amount of space right there to work with. So, and we did have some cost and feasibility studies done to look at renovating that building. And if we were to do it right, I mean, we're still talking 15 to 18 million.
Yeah.
So at that point in time,
Yeah, you might as well
why
just,
don't you just build a new?
especially if you get this
facility?
grant. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now it's 9 million. We'll just,
Right,
we'll tear that building down, open it up for new development. And
right. Great. It's a great spot for somebody there someday. So
I agree completely. So we already talked a little bit about being in Kiwanis,
Yeah.
but tell us about Holy Trinity. You're fairly involved with the church.
Yeah, I am. My Catholic faith is a big part of who I am. The spiritual development of the individual, I think, is very important. And so for me, that just it's a really center focal point of my life. And so, getting involved with the parish really comes down to, somebody asked me to be involved. I was around and just, I really don't know. The parish life director at the time, she just approached me one time and said, "Hey, would you consider doing this?" And so I thought about it, and I think that was the time I joined the parish council. And so I served 6 years in the parish council in that capacity. And that kind of evolves because then from the parish council, then you kind of serve on some subcommittees. And so you cross over and you represent the parish council on the school board.
Yep.
And so I was on the school board for a year as a member of parish council. So got involved that way. And then it just kind of evolves from there. And there's been some really neat things, I think, with the consolidation of all the Catholic churches in Webster County and all the smaller communities around. We have one campus now with our Holy Trinity Church being the center point of that. Our school is right there as well. But a lot of young families have come and joined our parish, new families that have come to the community. And so there's a lot of just vibrancy, I feel like, with young kids and families that are raising their children in the faith. And so it's really cool to see that. I went to 10 a.m. Mass this past weekend at Holy Trinity, and that's kind of I would call it the kids' Mass.
Yep.
Right? So they do like children's Bible study. So as we're doing the liturgy of the word and everything, they have the kids go out and do children's Mass time. But it's just like a beehive of activity. You can hear the kids chattering and crying and different things throughout the Mass. And, Deacon Joe always says some cool stuff. He's like, don't be annoyed that there's kids making noise in church. I mean, that's the future of our church, being here and being brought
glad
up in
they're
our
here.
faith. So yeah, nothing. It's
When you go to town and you go to church,
Yeah.
there's a lot of churches that there's a lot of just older people. And I remember when we went to Ann Arbor, Michigan, the Church of Christ, tons and tons of young families, and they all had like 6 to 10 kids.
yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It actually feels like home.
Right.
Because at home, like we have so many kids that are 10 o'clock Mass, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's fun to see. And some of the other stuff that I've really enjoyed about Holy Trinity right now is we've got some men's groups that have started to form some different things. We've got one called That Man Is You, and it really focuses on being a good husband, being a good father, just being a man of faith and living your life as a man of faith. And so there's a group that's been active for the last few years, typically meet on Saturday mornings at like 6 o'clock, have breakfast, watch a little video presentation, and then we get into small groups and have discussions about the topic of that day.
And we learned something.
And we learn something. Yeah, it's just really good stuff, and it's really important, I think, as men to be able to talk about your faith together and share it with each other, and not be afraid that we all have issues, we all have problems, and so it's nice to be able to have people that you can feel comfortable going to and talking to about those things, and not being afraid to share your faith like that. And so, and there's been some other groups too that we've done things like Exodus 90 is a 90-day program leading up to Lent and through Lent and Easter, where you kind of deny yourself all the different things. So
All the things that you
all
want.
the things. Take cold showers. Don't watch television. Don't have any alcohol. Don't eat sweets. Exercise daily. Holy hour of prayer every day. So it's a fun exercise, very, very demanding and challenging. But then you have this group of guys there to support you. And and it's something that I look forward to usually every year. I don't know if we're going to have it this year, but it's always a good.
Well,
exercise.
I was on the fence, but I was told I could not watch Iowa State basketball. I was like, is there
And
any
that'd be a tough year.
exception?
When you
Is there any
when you get the second-rated team in the country, that's a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing that says you can't watch them in person.
I know.
Oh,
but
that's true. And they're playing number 9
we're
tonight,
gosh
just so
darn
you know how
busy.
early we're recording this.
So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of great things happening at Holy Trinity, and so whatever I can do, being on a council or being on a committee to help move that all forward. And I enjoy being part of these men's groups because I think it's nice to be connected. We have a social aspect, and just to come together and support each other as men and husbands and fathers, it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now kind of getting to know you a little bit more. You are on a lot of different boards, a lot of different things. You're involved in, and we've gone through tons. What is the most rewarding part for you personally of being on all these and doing all that you do?
Yeah, I think it's just seeing the whole process come together and achieving kind of that end goal, and just seeing what kind of a difference you can make as a group. Because as we talked about, no one person really ever accomplishes anything really spectacular by themselves. There's always a group of people either behind the scenes that are supporting them. I wouldn't be able to do what I do and spend as much time as I do what I'm doing without like my wife and my daughter being supportive of it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It's always a struggle.
There's
you
always
wanna have
sometimes
supper
like, seriously, you're going to be gone again. But I'm like, yeah. So I have tried to kind of pull back a little bit. You have to find what you're passionate about, right? If you're not passionate about something, you're not going to be effective on a board or as part of a group or organization. Yeah. So you've got to make sure you have a passion, and don't just do it because somebody asked you to and you felt obligated. If you're not getting anything out of it, then I think you are probably in the wrong space. Yeah. So there's got to be some reward, however that makes you feel, or something like that at the end of the tunnel. If you're just going there and going through the motions and not feeling like you're contributing, then it's probably best if you're not involved in whatever that is. But so I have said no to a few things along the way over the past couple of years, especially as things progress in your career and you just kind of get more mature and start to figure some things out, right?
This is off topic, but doesn't it feel like the last 10 years Fort Dodge has become more vibrant and just
it's
more
changed
togetherness
so
and more happy? The whole Dirty Dodge thing is gone, in my opinion. I think it's
delightful
gone.
Dodge.
It is delightful
Dodge.
In the Army, they called that a esprit de corps, that love of the Corps. And I think people have really kind of embraced the love of Fort Dodge and loving where they're from and defending it. I mean,
Defending it, yes.
over and over. You know, it's almost like Fort Dodge is our little brother, little sister. You're like, no, you can't say, I can say that about them, but you can't say that about them. And, it's really kind of cool to see people
We've had people come on and say that they were going to move back, or they thought about moving back. They got an opportunity and they were like, no. And then they came back and toured again. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. And they haven't even thought about leaving again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fort Dodge, the whole landscape has just changed tremendously. I mean, look back, and this is brought up quite a bit, but when Terry Lutz became mayor back around 2006, and, we've been driving up and down Fifth Avenue South all of our lives and never noticed that all these power poles are up there with all these transformers and power lines. And all of a sudden they're like, we need to bury the power lines. Like, what are you talking about?
That's a lot of money. Why are we going to spend money on power lines? We need roads.
And but now you drive up and down, it's like, wow, I can't believe that. And you see a picture of that mess. There was actually one in the paper, like recently in the top left-hand corner, it says like 15 years ago, and it was all the transformers and power lines. And I'm like, man, what a mess that was.
And I never even noticed it because I was still kind of young when that happened. I was waiting tables at the cellar. And I remember this random couple came in and they're like, oh my gosh, we just drove down Fifth Avenue South and it's beautiful. We haven't been here for like 4 or 5 years. When did they do that? And I was like yesterday, and I didn't even notice they did that, but just got done. Yeah. But we right after it got done, we had a compliment from someone who hasn't been around for quite a while. It's like, wow, it looks so good. And it's like, good job.
Yeah.
Good job for people doing stuff.
You got to believe that anybody who hasn't been back here in just the last 2 or 3 years is going to drive back here and be like,
see the mall gone?
What in the world? I mean,
you go to J-Mars and there's a big, huge building there, the pavilion.
I mean, but Chick-fil-A on the corner, and you got the transformation of the Yonkers wing there with Dunham's and Maurice's and Shoe Sensation, and I see there's a sign up for an Ulta Beauty now.
Yeah.
Coming, and then you got the nice strip center there with teriyaki and clean laundry, and you got T-Mobile?
T-Mobile, I think.
T-Mobile. I don't want to get it wrong, but
Yeah.
all that new stuff over there, and you drive through there, and it's really well designed and well done. So
Black
I think
Friday,
it's really
Dunham's was pretty hot hit.
Yeah.
You know, it was great.
It's just a totally different store than what it was before when you walked in there in the old mall.
And you know what? Going back to thinking like my little girl just needed new knee pads. It's like, oh my gosh, we have a store that actually probably specializes in that. I can just run over there and grab something.
And they have a huge inventory.
Yeah. Did the same thing. Sophia had a knee issue with basketball and she needed a little knee brace. And so I went over there and they're like, yep, we got this, and this. Actually, I had options.
Yes.
I'm like, wow.
And you don't have to wait 2 days for it to come.
Exactly. Which is an eternity, by the way, sometimes when you're waiting for that. But yeah, so very, very blessed that these places have come back and decided to reinvest in our community. And, you know, I just got to give props to the developers and for putting the plans together and having the patience to work through that process, because it's not easy. I mean, from trying to fund construction of those projects, trying to find, negotiate leases, all those things, put the financing packages together. None of that's easy work. And so, we owe a debt of gratitude to people that are investing in our community and putting up projects like that in town. So
what do you see in the next 10, 15 years? Where do you think the next focus is going to be?
I think that we're going to see some major growth, probably at the Ag Park yet. I mean, there's I'm going to put my Growth Alliance hat on right now because I do serve on the executive board over there, and board members are here at the table as well.
Yep.
There's a great, fantastic pipeline. It seems like there's a lot of excitement and things are building. Just that team at the Growth Alliance, they do such an amazing job of bringing everybody together into the table with the collaboration with the county and the city, because it takes all of them to get these projects done. I mean, they wouldn't happen without all of these people working together. From our city council, mayor, city manager, county supervisors, everybody plays a pivotal role in getting these projects done. So I hope to continue to see collaboration like that in the future, to work together towards getting some of these projects to the finish line, because I think there's a lot of momentum going on right now. And the pipeline is very, very strong and robust. So I'm excited to see what that happens. But, you talk about 10 to 15 years and you look backwards and be like, man, that
2010
goes by in a flash, right? I mean, goodness, it's amazing how fast time
we'll all
can
be
go
in our
by.
60s.
So, yeah.
I'll still be young.
Yeah, me too, at heart.
Way younger than you too.
Way younger.
You're not that young, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Still 25.
He's just a kid. Acts like he's 12. Well, we appreciate you coming in today, Craig. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
No, it's been a good conversation. Again, sometimes it's a little intimidating when you get the list of questions, like, okay, what are we going to say? But then it's great to have guys like you that it's easy to sit here and talk with you guys and have fun. And congratulations on your 93rd episode.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah. So subscribe, share.
And we really do need those subscribes.
Comments.
The subscribe thing's a big thing. We're getting enough of them now that if we can get more subscribers and get this out, the more popular it is on YouTube, the better this all works. So
nice.
Make sure you subscribe.
Faster Fort Dodge grows.
Well, and I don't know if I probably haven't told you, the intent of this show was when you put Fort Dodge into Google or Bing, we'll get old if you want to, or YouTube, something positive comes up, something that tells you about the community and how many great people, because it's so easy to find the things that aren't great. So that's the whole intent of this. And
it's all positivity.
You're part of that. So
for sure. Well, if we can get the word out and people want to come and attend our Shellabration events in Downtown Country Gym, August 9th, 2025.
Heck yeah.
We'll be there.
Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap at today's episode of Talk Fort Dodge.
Stay connected with us on social media and join us next time as we continue exploring Fort Dodge's stories through the lens of two lifelong Dodgers. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and this is Talk Fort Dodge.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.